Hi guys, so today I'd like to talk a little bit about how your environment kind of represents you. So recently I've moved in Melbourne from like inner city, okay, to the really far suburbs. Like the next suburb over is farmland. So like it's a very big move. And so what I've noticed going from the inner city to here is that the kind of people you see is very different, obviously. Not just in terms of age or ethnicity, but just kind of how they present themselves. So, for example, I'd say in a city there's a lot more attractive people, there's a lot more fit people. Um, Whereas out here, it's almost like these people just go to Macca's. That's like the best way to put it, and it's really interesting to see how your environment really represents who you are. And like, what does that mean? And what do I mean by that? It's like, look, you go to KFC or McDonald's, the kind of people you see in there, you got to think, do I want to be like those people? Are these people a representation of me? And you'll find, like, if you're someone who thinks McDonald's is good for you and you go often, you'll be similar to the other people. And you think you're not. You think, oh, I'm the one good-looking, attractive person in McDonald's and everyone else is like not doing so much with their life. Maybe you think that. But when you actually stop and observe the environments you put yourself in, because at the end of the day, you put yourself in these environments and you'll see the kind of people you meet, and kind of people you get along with. And for example, someone who goes to the pub often, those kind of people he's meeting, that's a representation of who he is. Just because it kind of works with the law of attraction. Okay, so you attract similar things pretty much. I won't talk about opposites, but you attract what you want, like similar people, similar mindsets, I'd say. So you'll find yourself, the environments you find yourself in, people have the same mindset or very similar to you. In terms of, like, let's say for food, if you're eating unhealthy, you don't see it as unhealthy. You're eating for pleasure, whereas other people will also see it. So it's just a really interesting thing. It's like, well, being here in Cranbourne, I don't want to be represented with these people. I don't feel like that's a representation of who I am, and and obviously I'm not moving here intentionally, because I never would move down here, because again, the people. Where am I getting at with all this? It's like, how can I put myself in the environments I want to be in? How can I find myself around just amazing people? People, a team, build a team of people who just make you a better person, And I also feel like there's a part of it is like a social hierarchy. Because when you look at people in these kind of suburbs and stuff, you see the kind of lower end of the social hierarchy. And Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. It's like, nowadays we think there's not so much hierarchical things happening, especially with social media. They're always there. There's always a social hierarchy in every single situation. And I feel like the people, I don't want to like put it as a location, but just like, for example, when you go in a city, the people living there are higher up in the social hierarchy, which would make sense because they have more money, they have more resources, they are generally fitter, they value things like exercise and socializing more, and they just have good values. And I think values is what the kind of people you find. You find people who value the same thing. And if you don't have friends, it's because you can't find anyone who values the same thing as you, or you push them away. That's another representation. So if you're in an environment and you look around and you're like, shit, I don't want to be like any of these people, okay? If you maybe you feel you're better than them, or maybe you feel like there's just, like, if you look around and everyone's overweight, you probably don't aspire to that. Whereas if you look around and everyone's got a six-pack, you're like, shit, I aspire to that. So you're in a good environment if you see things you want, people you want to talk to, be like. And so I think it's, rather than changing your location, which of course is part of it, it's changing your mindset, changing your values, changing your beliefs, which will naturally cause you to find these people. I think, like, for example, for me, like I've gone through stages where I've really cared about my image and really presented myself well. And when I did that, for example, I found a internship, I found a job in neuropsychology, because I put myself out there with a lot of energy, stood up straight, wore a suit, like very, very mature things, very like a gentleman. And what turned out was these opportunities. Why? Because I valued cleanliness, I valued presenting myself well, I valued making the first move, which is a very big one, and not being scared to ask for what I want. And that led myself to find myself in like a corporate environment, even though I'm only second year university. Actually, I was first year, and I was working in the most prestigious building in Melbourne. But now my karma, I would say it's karma, perception has changed, I kind of fell into a bit of a, maybe not caring so much, and now my environment's representing that. So like for me, I want to get back to presenting myself well, taking care of my body, dressing well, getting a haircut because I'm looking scruffy, not so presentable, professional. Yeah, it's like just valuing these things which will be attractive to other people. And I think that's what a social hierarchy is. Someone, let's say, nowadays in the social hierarchy, up the ladder will have financial stability at least, or wealth. Why? Because it's an attractive thing. If you're talking to someone and they're buying you everything, if they have the financial things to buy you dinner, buy you clothes, whatever. I'm not talking like sugar daddy vibes. I'm just talking about someone who like is very, very loving and can support you financially, whether it's a friend, a lover. That's more attractive than someone who can't even pay for McDonald's. So there's other things. There's money. There's sociability. How you present yourself, sociable, which I break down into how you dress and how you physically look, but also your social skills. How do you put yourself out there? How do you talk to other people? Are you scared, or do you put yourself and your values out there? And I think doing something like this, talking and sharing your ideas, definitely helps. Helps you see how you see yourself as well. Like the thing is with these videos, I act like someone's going to watch this. Which it's silly. It feels silly. It's like, is anyone ever going to watch this? But I think long term, like maybe if I do well in terms of views, maybe people will go back and watch these videos and see me in my raw, because I have big aspirations. I want to be, I want to be in that social hierarchy, and I want to do it in a positive way. I want to present myself well. I want to be financially stable and give back to my family, and I want to be healthy. I want to be physically fit. Like I want everything that generally that social hierarchy has: attractiveness, sociability. And so why I like thinking in a social hierarchy is you can kind of roughly project where you are right now. And it's not fixed. I feel like you can definitely go up and down the hierarchy. Like if I were to suddenly gain 30 kilos and not to be working playing video games all day, I'm sorry lads, but you're just down the social hierarchy. So yeah, I feel like if you put yourself on the scale from 0 to 10, let's say right now I'm a 4, it's like, well, in 2 years' time, can I be a 6 or 7? and what would come with that is I find myself in environments, I find myself with resources, I just find myself with things I want, and I'll be able to give back to people. But yeah, that's just my little spell, or I don't know what to say, just a few words, and it's just something I'm observing at the moment, is how these social environments kind of represent who we are in the moment. And when you do work on yourself, you find yourself in better environments with maybe more attractive people, more attractive girls, guys, whatever it is, just qualities and values that are worthwhile in this world. So yeah, I think that's... I would like to keep these videos around 10 minutes, so peace.